Hey guys, welcome to Dan's channel. I'm Nicholas Live, your special host today. With us is of course Dan Hensley, as you guys know, the crypto business developer and expert investor. We have two very special guests today, Raphael Grosswit, the CEO of No Limit Coin. Say hi to everybody, Raphael.
Hello, everybody. It's been a while, I think, quite a while. So there's a lot to talk about. So thank you for organizing this for us. And let's not forget
our very, very special guest today, Will Walker, the financial consultant who has 28 years of private equity and over $500 million raised in his life.
Hey, great to be here, everybody. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Excellent. Glad to have you.
And Raphael, do you want to give a quick update?
I want to hear Dan's voice a little bit. Just say something. You know, that voice is already, just part of.
Glad to be here. We got a ton of updates. Will Walker's a really nice dude, and really, I'm anxious to hear more about him, just like everyone else. And yeah, go ahead, Ralph.
All right. So. Yes, so the story of Will is sometimes the way things that come out. We met a little bit by accident. I was meeting Johnny Chan to essentially do our deal and everything at the casino, and yeah, I had my hat on and everything, and I don't know how Will just he goes up to me, he says, "Are you involved in crypto?" And I said, "Dude, what?" I said, "Am I involved in crypto? Are you kidding me?" And he pulled out the brochure and the mining. And I said, "Okay, you must be stalking me, right, Will?" And Will, like you introduced him. We started talking a lot. Johnny was there, and I just felt that he was a great person to invite to our group, and just essentially his mission right now is to talk about our product, our project, and tell us a little bit about yourself, Will, and then we'll circle back and have a nice discussion, because I want to go down all of the No Limit Coin and No Limit Fantasy Sports updates, which there's a lot, but this time I'm going to try to really move it fast, because I just enjoy this too much, and then I end up doing 2-hour videos, and I'm like, who could watch this? So Will, give us a capsule. I think we hit it off. He went from finance, as Nicholas has described, and he's like knee deep in mining specifically. You've done like 30 million in the last few months in terms of taking money into Ethereum mining, I believe. So tell us, give us give us your background, tell us your story. It's a very impressive story, and you can start with the acting. Why not?
Well, that was a long time ago. I like to tell people, especially Nikolai and Dan's age, it's when dinosaurs roamed the earth. But in the, even though I worked with Bruce Dern, who's Laura Dern's father, who was the star of Jurassic Park, that's about as close as I got to dinosaurs in actuality. But, I had a really good career, and, I'm proud of it. I worked for 15 years as a professional actor. I've written screenplays, several of which have gotten sold. This is going way back to 70s and 80s, guys, so I'll make it brief. But I did guest star in over 30 TV shows, major ones, and I co-starred in over 20 major feature films or motion pictures with people that most of the young people haven't heard of, like Steve McQueen and Paul Newman and George C. Scott. I could go on and on. I did win a very prestigious award for television in Beretta, if anybody remembers that. I had a good reoccurring role on Starsky and Hutch, if anybody remembers the old Starsky and Hutch series. This was a long time ago. And I do a lot of public speaking, and I usually bring it up because I'm usually talking to investors, an investor pool that has some appetite for being an entrepreneur or setting themselves free, or certainly making money through different disruptive technologies and different spaces that I have been fortunate to work in or be part of, like digital currency, cryptocurrency, And, I've been in that for about 6 years and been mining for about 4. So I speak at a lot of conferences. I have I've been fortunate and privileged to be in this early enough and have the right group of investors and contacts and companies and accredited investors that have been with me, some of them over 20 years in my financial private equity venture capital career. And the thing that got me was Bill Daniels. Was one of the early adapters, to cable TV. Dan and Nikolai don't realize it, but years ago, the major TV stations that I won the major awards on, like ABC, CBS, and NBC here in the United States, they were poo-pooing and really shooting down like many people are doing with certain cryptocurrencies. I mean, it sounds familiar right now. And they were really disregarding cable because they were not getting very good content and certainly were scraping the, just getting started. So they needed somebody from Hollywood to get on there at the time that was doing reasonably well, which I was. I had a very good career, co-starring with a lot of major people at the time and winning awards and all that, to tell people, investor pools around the world, that this newfangled thing called cable TV was going to be able to get content, was going to be able to get relative, A+ content, as long as you bring the eyeballs and the check along with it. Of course, the eyeballs follow the check, and I don't have to tell Dan and Nikolai that. They're deep in how this monetizes for everybody. It was the same thing in 1981 when I was one of the foremost people working with a true visionary, Bill Daniels, who saw the power of having multiple channels and pay-per-view and all these income streams. I'm all about, reoccurring revenue, reoccurring income streams. Just like right today, I still get almost $4,000 residual income from the Screen Actors Guild. And I haven't made a movie since 1984.
No.
So I don't know how long ago 1984 was, but it was a long time ago. So I teach and speak on residual income, reoccurring revenue to companies and CEOs, COOs of companies, and also individual investors and investor pools. In fact, I'm going to be taking Raphael and No Limit Coin out with me to where I'm speaking at the Money Show 2020 in late October here, and there'll be 35,000, 40,000 accredited investors. It's a $3,000 ticket just to attend. And I'll be speaking about this whole ecosystem, and I'll start with where I started with cable TV. And of course, as we brought more money in and more people in and companies that needed this newfangled thing called cable, one of them was home developers. They needed to sell more homes, and some of the developments that they had, Reno, Nevada, Lake Tahoe, all those places that were having a hard time moving property. We're in a mini recession then for real estate. They offered this newfangled thing called cable free for 2 years if you bought a house from them. It worked. Of course, as the money came in, we were able to get the content from all the big studios, which I knew they do anyway, having worked for them for many years. Universal, Warner's, 20th Century Fox, etc. Anyway, long story long, that was a success. We got our investors richly rewarded. Went on to cellular telephone, same thing with Craig McCaw and partnerships there, because at the time people were carrying suitcases around as their phone. And I can remember being on stage talking to people and saying, yeah, someday you're not gonna have a home phone. You're gonna have these little computers that are called phones. They'll do so much more. Exactly. And you're never gonna even need a home phone, and many people won't have them. And everything will be in a mobile, digital mobile world. And most of them laughed me off the stage, literally, and Craig McCaw too. But a few ones bought in and wrote checks and invested in different partnerships that we had going at the time. And we were definitely very well rewarded, well over 10 and 20x in some cases. So it was a really strong deal. So I've been fortunate to spot and work with some true visionaries and supply some of the money, some of the connections, and some of these disruptive technologies that had reoccurring revenue streams. And that certainly set me up, my investors up for the rest of their life. And I see the same thing here. Saw the same thing about 6 years ago when somebody brought me Bitcoin from Europe. And I deal a lot in Asia. I deal a lot with Samsung and LG in mining equipment, electronic equipment, because the Japanese and the Koreans and their governments and the electronic manufacturers that are hitting record profits are way ahead of this country in many parts of the world in how to position companies themselves and take advantage of digital currency and another big, big disruptive technology, bigger than cable, bigger than cellular telephones. It touches every space. I'm just thankful that I'm still around to be able to, help a few people deliver a good message. And it was by chance I was up there meeting with an executive owner of the big casino up there that's wanted to get into mining and digital currency. I was up there for a meeting, and there was Raphael at his table sitting with Johnny Chan. And of course, that's impressive. And he wasn't quite ready to start yet. And I saw his stuff laid out, No Limit Coin. I said, is this, digital currency, cryptocurrency, while I was waiting for my meeting. But that's how we started out. So, what I see here, I get approached by 30 to 50 ICOs, public companies. I just got approached by one by Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they want to put me on retainer. They want to, they need help. They want to have somebody shepherd along the way through different portions of their journey, and I get shown a lot of stuff, and certainly I don't bite on any of it. So because this is first to market in this fantasy sports space, some of my big investors are the largest sports agents like David Falk in the world. They handle Michael Jordan since he was in college. I mean, I could go on, and that's where I have I'm fortunate to have tentacles into a lot of different worlds, and I realize the power, of course, of digital currency, cryptocurrency, especially if it's already publicly traded on an exchange. I will not touch anything. Like I said, I've just brought something by some of the largest insurance companies for medical records in the world. I won't touch it yet, till we see things that how things smooth out on some regulatory stages. But for No Limit Coin, first in its space, I know the power of sports, fantasy sports in particular right now. It's already public. It's through the threshold. I liked Raphael. Now that I'm getting to meet Dan and Nikolai and the team, there's a lot of faith here. I've already put feelers out to some of my contacts like Pat Burns, who owns Overstock.com. He's a huge retailer. He's a big pioneer in cryptocurrency, much like Bill Daniels was in cable and Craig McCaw was in cellular. So I look for these guys that are, have the money, have the connections. Certainly they want to work with companies like No Limit in fantasy sports to adapt and offer more value and more avenues for their company as well as participate. So, this is an incredible time for all of us. We really need to be respectful of it. And certainly, there's some urgency, but there's also some very immediate returns as well as long-term returns. And I can go into that another time. But I don't want to talk too long here, but I want to thank everybody, the three principals here for having me on. And, I look forward to helping No Limit and working with Rafi and Dan and Nikolai and the rest of the team, and certainly want to help and bring value. So thanks for having me on, guys.
It isn't.
That was impressive. That was like, wow. I'm like, hey, I don't have to do anything anymore, right? It's, you guys really have this thing. And we're going to show some of your pages right now, and we're also going to set up a room. You could, we'll set up a room for Will. We'll call it, Mining Max. That's the name of his company, in Slack. And people that want to talk like serious mining, right there.
Yeah.
I told him
and Rafi, if I can jump in for a minute, I have I sit on the board of several companies, publicly traded, some private. So mining is a great way to acquire and dollar cost average, with certain situations, but also cover wallets, pipeline. I talk about acquiring the coins. Once again, it's a whole ecosystem. I don't have to tell you or Dan or Nikolai about this. So, and many of the viewers, but there's a whole pipeline here, a whole ecosystem that needs to be understood, appreciated, and used for a company as well as an individual. And certainly there's profit, there's You know, there's lots of upside, and certainly it's a great way as a tool or as an investment to understand and get an education on this pipeline and decide what's right for you and your situation or your company. And that's kind of what I advise companies on as well as people. So I just want to throw that in there now.
Yeah,
sure. And I'm gonna.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's, I mean, you could imagine when I heard him and Johnny was there, we're both like, wow, you know, what a great, you know, what a great hook up there. It's and we've talked a lot more, and I said, oh man, you've got to be, and you know, he's like, well, let me see what's going on with your group, and once you get into Slack and you realize what's happening in there, then you'll get a really correct sense of what's going on. All right, I want to race through through a couple of things here. So, and then we'll go back and we'll have a quick discussion. So, all right. So, everybody, the most important thing that's on everybody's mind, of course, is the relaunch of the product, and it's getting there. It's essentially there. I'm going to show you a bunch of screens. Tell me if
there you go.
Can you see that, Nick?
Yep.
I see your screen. Yep.
You can see my. So I'm just gonna. I mean, look at that thing. Every time I see that, I get chills. Right? I know it sounds a little corny, but it really, it's beyond incredible. We have just a total redesign of the game, and there's a lot of new features that haven't been implemented because we said, okay, we're going to wait for the new redesign. You've got the team field list view, you've got the field view, and this whole 3D thing is going to be an incredible aspect.
And nobody has a 3D. Nobody has it yet. We're the first ones.
Well, the way we're going to do it, that is correct. And you can see how it's just a much more advanced aspect in terms of everything. And here's a very important. Let's see here. Right. This. Oh no! Look at me there. I'm. Yeah. But you can see how we've got, you know, top 5 players here, and we've got all the positions. Then on the right side, all of the top managers of the week are going to be shown there. So if you did really, really good in the week, you're going to be basically along, you know, the top players in the NFL. So I think it's going to be motivate people to work harder to be the top 5 teams in the league. Look at that.
Those bragging rights, of course.
Of course, and it's look how nice this is. I mean, this is incredible. The color combo. It's been through. So there's so many people that have collaborated on this, and that's what essentially makes something very, very good. When there's been so many people that have collaborated and opinionated, and it does. It looks very nice. We can see that was there's soccer. Look at those nice shirts, and eventually. Right after the initial launch, we're going to have a tool so you can actually, rather than we're going to have actual shirts that match the colors of the teams. We can't use the logos, but we can certainly use the color combination of the shirts, and that'll make it look really, really nice. So I'm just showing you the individual pages just to show our groups, you know, where we are and the advances that we have. We're going to be testing. We're going to be testing basically everything over the weekend. You can see these. Initially, it's going to be the same jerseys, the same color combination, but soon thereafter, we're going to actually do different jerseys that are going to match the. I can't wait to see the Rams one. I mean, I'm in LA now, so you know I'm cool with Rams and all the other shirts. Even though we can't. You know, we won't use the actual logos, but at least we'll get the colors in there, and it's just a very nice, presentable, and very forward-looking UI, and it's 100% responsive, so you could use it on any platform. It looks very good on the phone. The reality is everything.
Well, yeah.
That's really what it's all about. Phone. I mean, it's in the high 90s. The actual minutes that people use their phone versus the desktop. Now, fantasy sports people, they do they do spend more on their desktops because they want to really be able to have a good view of all of the. Wow, look at that. That's beautiful. There's the rank, and here this is the live view, and we're gonna have scoring alerts when that happens. So we're right there. We're basically right there, and I want to show this is Will's website, and we're gonna have it like I said, we're gonna have his room there in our Slack. He'll be able to post all of this stuff, so it's very interesting, and we'll circle around and have a discussion about that towards as soon as I just want to go through all of the items. And so you saw the new UI. You saw I talked about a little bit the trip to Vegas. I posted some stuff, and I've still got like 4 proposals I have to get out there. So that was very good. We're working on on NHL, NBA, and MMA. There's our one of our contests this week, and you can see everybody can see Joe Theismann's players. Oh no, that's all right. So you can see how everything's working very nicely. You can see all the teams, how they are in proper order. There's the first place, but this is going to turn into this, and it's going to then allow us to implement so many new features, and it's very exciting. And essentially, we're gonna have the platform ready next week. So I said this week we were going to get to the new UI. It's right here, and everybody's been round the clock, and we've been getting all the small stuff there. And then next week we're actually going to test it in real live environment. So we're very, very close. There's a lot of advertisement. That's also been an important part of what we're doing in preparation of what we're doing here. And the reason is because there's so many channels, there's so many ways to advertise, there's so many countries, and we're languages, Spanish, English, Chinese.
Yeah.
Right, and we want to go into the local markets. So with the new age of advertisement we have these days, it's something that you can do, targeting basically. So you can see that we're right there. Here's the leagues. You can see the logos of the teams. We keep them small enough to kind of step into that. And what I also showed a little bit right now is we're reaching out to a bunch of fantasy football YouTubers, I guess.
And shows, yeah.
Right, the shows, and there's big ones, medium ones, and everything. And by the way, shouting out to Philly D. I love the videos that you do. The last ones have been great, where you talk about the teams. Now you're talking about the players. It's very good. I enjoy them a lot. And we're also reaching out to probably 10 or 15 of these fantasy sports specialized channels. So we're going to be talking to them, getting on their shows, and getting some of that fantasy sports. But the reason I'm showing you this is, and you can see how these guys, these are like the big, fantasy footballers. I mean, I couldn't even get close to them at the Fantasy Sports Trade Association because so many people wanted to talk to them, and they're so influential. And they've got 60,000 subscribers. You can see that, and then you can see there's a bunch of other fantasy sports groups. And so what we're gonna try to maybe. What I was thinking is, because we've already got a bunch of hardcore people, and people, will win a certain week. So I want Nicholas to organize a hardcore fantasy sports show where rather than all sitting at the table, we can still do what fantasy footballers does, but rather than a physical table, you know the word, virtual table, right? So just what we're doing now, we'll bring in the top the top winners of that week, and right, we'll bring in the top. Okay, you guys get to be on the show, and then we'll just let people just rip at each other in terms of, hey, why'd you get this player? Who's doing that? So I really want to get like a fantasy sports show going. So everybody out there that wants to, get involved in that, that's something good where we could set up maybe 5 or 6 people, a little round table, and just go at it, talk about the past week, talk about each other's team, and everybody's favorite subject is me talk about your team and how bad it is and what a weakling you are, and get that smack thing going, because you'll see that. So I really want to get that happening because I see all the passion within our group, and we got to get the word out at the level of people that we have. So Philly D, let's get this going. A little round table every week. We'll do it through your channel, and we'll get that going. So I'm really excited that Cam is coming with Dan to visit me. I mean, it's like the greatest thing ever. And we talked about so basically, I mean, everybody everybody gets a lot of questions. Dan, myself, Nicholas, and we hang out at the Slack room. All I can say is things are just always getting better. They're getting better. The game is getting better, faster. All the slow queries that had some slow areas, we've optimized them all. Our servers are strong. We're making the tweaks in the games. We're implementing that double up, triple up thing that a lot of people have talked about. We're putting in NHL and NBA and MMA, and we're going to keep that going into more sports because it's actually pretty simple now that we put a few in. So I know it seems like a broken record. I just keep saying, but you've seen the UIs right now. It's we're not just saying it's there. It's really there. They're working. We don't want to release even with one single error. So this is the week we're testing, and we'll be ready next week. And in terms of advertisement and growth and markets, we're just lining up the ducks, as they say. Have your ducks in a row. That's what we're doing. In terms of the advertisement, we've got pretty decent amount of budget just parked, ready to go live when that new UI hits. But yet we're still getting registrations even without the advertisement, and the No Limit Coin community is amazing in terms of the energy that is there, and that's why I just have a very good positive outlook on our growth factor and our ability to acquire many players into months and years, and to ride this wave with Bitcoin hitting 5 and who knows after that. And I mean, how what else could you want to what other world would you want to be in, right, except this one? So I just want that was my update, and I just want to see if Dan has any questions for me, for Will, and just or Nick.
Just make sure you guys are stay tuned for Crypto Daily's video on Tuesday, where he will meet you in person, you, Raphael, and Dan, which is gonna be amazing. I can't wait to see it. Now, Will, you were talking about your website. It's cryptosummer.com, correct?
Yes, /Walker.
/Walker. Sorry for me missing that out.
/Walker, my last name. So
that's
for mining in a secure wallet. These are both operations that are United States corporations, California corporations that I'm personally have investments in and are shepherding. One of them is a very secure wallet. It's the first ever credit card with fingerprint technology for security and speed. in a credit card form that will hold all the cryptocurrencies. So that's just part of the pipeline, part of the ecosystem that I've done a lot of due diligence on and have brought to my investors, and I speak on those specific companies and advise those specific companies. But yes.
That's awesome. And it was funny how you were talking about these amazing gains that were like, you're happy with these, 5x, 10x, even 20x gains with cable and the cell phones. But it's just interesting to compare it to the new economy coming and basically this crypto universe where actually Dan and I came into the picture about NLC2. NLC2 was at like 20 Satoshi, which is, a very small number. And it peaked at around 12 or 13,000 Satoshi, which is around over 500x gains within only 2 months or so. Which is just, you cannot compare it to anything else in this world.
Yeah, we're really at the ground floor, and people like Will who have the foresight. Obviously, you heard his story. He was able to spot the new trends before they happened and acted on them. He's doing the very same thing here. Cryptocurrency is it's such an infancy right now. And when the babies grow, they grow really quick. If you haven't seen a baby in a couple of years, you're like, how has that grown? That's going to be cryptocurrency. When we hit 250 million, once we hit 1 trillion, the big guys, they can't ignore it anymore. The people who want to ignore it hope it goes away. That's slowly dying. And with all the things happening, Bitcoin shooting almost up to 6,000, it couldn't be any more mainstream right now. And I really like Will's outlook when he talks about already being on exchanges, which is very important because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And you can have this big, wonderful team, and then you can get slapped right down. We're right in the middle. We're legal right in the United States, country by country, no ads, only have 2 sports out. Imagine with all the sports, everything running, ads full blazing, YouTubers talking about us. In just 1 year's time, where can you see such potential in any company, anywhere, except in this space right now, which is just absolutely amazing. So, just awesome to have Will on the team and interested. And we're going to start to see more and more quality people. And it's definitely going to be like the dam breaking, I would say, 6 months' time. We're going to start to see.
Hey, Dan, that was really well put. I don't know, can I add something to what you were saying, or is that because you made a lot of sense there, and Nikolai, you as well. So real quick, just yesterday there was a major development. I've been in the stock market and the public markets a long time because I advise companies whether to go public or sometimes to be uplifted, what they call uplifted, because they're over the counter, they're smaller cap stocks or companies, and they want to get on the NASDAQ, they want to get on the New York Stock Exchange, or I'll bring them from Toronto Stock Exchange into New York, that type of thing. So these are the things that I've worked in for over 20 years. And yesterday, the first ETNs were approved by a NASDAQ-sponsored public market in Sweden. Now, who cares about Sweden? Well, we all do, because the NASDAQ is a very powerful tool that I've worked with for years in New York. And they're already looking to have adapted ways to take in mutual funds. ETNs are part of the mutual fund family. ETFs are already approved for stocks and mutual funds and other asset classes. So the ETNs, were approved yesterday for NASDAQ trading over in Europe, in the several of the Scandinavian companies. And already you can see Ethereum in the top rated coins, as well as Bitcoin shooting up today. It's what I've been waiting for about 4 or 5 years, and to see the public markets, the accepted markets, start to accept these mutual pools of assets in this new class, which is a high new asset class called digital currency. And no limit coins, some of these coins that are already public, can be included in this wave, and it's going to be phenomenal. So I tell people, whether you mine it or buy it, or buy it from the exchange, acquire it. This is a rare place in time, and now you can see the flag drop with the public markets around the world that are attached to our markets here in New York and in the United States. So it's not a question of if anymore. Even to my most skeptic billionaire investors. It's just win.
Yeah.
And now they've seen the flag start to drop around the world. I just got back from Korea and Japan and speaking at some conferences and over there where the governments have already accepted these things as official currencies. And, you know, like I said, I'm fortunate to work with some top mining companies that produce electronic equipment like LG. So this is a whole wave that's already started. The flags drop. Dan, it's you and Nikolai's world. I mean, I'm just lucky to get the tail end of it at this stage of my life. You know, I want to congratulate you and everybody online here for taking full advantage and making the right moves here, because certainly the next even 6 months, for even 6 to 12 months, are, I think, going to be historic.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to get that.
We are making history right here, right now.
Excellent. Very well put.
Yeah, our team's getting, you know, I mean, it's getting bigger, and when Will sees all the other people in the Slack group, you're gonna see, and it's all these different personalities from all over the world. They're also thinking their local markets, so there's a special energy going around, and sometimes it's even hard to describe as to what it is. A couple of people have said, I've been involved in a bunch of startups, but this is different. Everybody's in here, you know, 24/7. Nobody wants to turn away even a second because so many things are happening. And I'm just thinking, wow, this is very cool. You know, for me, I think that my job's getting easier as time passes. It really is. And of course, fun and exciting, and just, you know, the future. I've never had this feeling that you just know what's coming. As Will just said, is going to be exciting. So I thank everybody also, and we're really just getting started with No Limit Fantasy Sports. It really is like, you know, day one pretty soon with the new UI, because there's going to be so many other sports piled on, so many variations. We're going to have within in league contests. We're definitely already working on Sunday AM contests and Sunday PM, meaning the true daily fantasy. Right now we've got weekly daily fantasy, but we're gonna get all that, you know, all that narrowed down to same day, because we all need the action. I need it too. I mean, I want to be in and out. I want, you know, so we all need that. And in terms of soccer, we're going to have contests from within each league. China Super League's coming, and, you know, the cups are coming. Of course, we're all in shock that the U.S. didn't make it, but that's for a different discussion. Wow. So. The teams are getting really integrated, like it's getting, like, you know, that saying, fine oiled machine. I mean, it's getting there. I have a lot to do with not, you know, I'm the one that's not oiled, but I'm getting there, you know. So we're it's good. It's really exciting. It's good when everybody have so much input, and then now Will's coming on board, and you know, Johnny and Joe's campaigns are going to hit the air. They're going to hit the digital. They're going to hit TV, and that's going to be exciting. You know, get those 4 seats every 6 months will be available to sit down with Johnny Chan, because the table's only going to be 6. We're not going to go 9, and then we're going to go 6 finalists. It's going to be 2 pros, Johnny and somebody else, and then 4 seats, and we're going to run super satellites through the fantasy sports platform to get those seats. So Will, I know you like to play poker. We met at the poker room. So hey, if you want to sit with the great Johnny Chan, you're gonna have to earn your seat, and everybody else. So I'm gonna be.
I'm up for it. I'm ready to go. So.
Yeah, no, we all are. We all want to be, you know, Matt Damon and rounders. So that's very exciting, and something that actually we haven't talked about. In terms of Johnny, I think we did, is we want to send people to the main event next year through satellites, through fantasy sports. So that'll be exciting too. And we get a little delegation over there. We have dinner with Johnny the night before. He coaches us. I told him it's like a cycling team. You know, just one of us has to get through. one of us has to get through, and the coverage would be insane. Of course, if Johnny himself would get through, could you imagine the TV coverage he's going to get? So that's going to be exciting too. And of course, the Joe Theismann angle with the heads up, and we're going to run with that advertisement and the fantasy sports show that we are going to put into place. Joe's going to be coming in, once every couple of months, and he'll take questions. And okay, who is the top team? Top team gets to ask Joe first, that kind of thing. So I really want to get that fantasy thing. So we got to get Philly D and Nicholas and everybody else that wants to be into that group. I want to be in there just talking football. That'll be pure football talk, and we got to do the soccer version and every version, really. So that'll be fun. And you video, phenoms, you guys will help it look like, just because you see there's a bunch of these other fantasy football shows. Well, we want to have our own, and we've got the firepower to do that. All right. So from my end, I'm happy. I get up very excited because we're almost there. And once we're there, it'll be like when they open the gates and the greyhounds start running and chasing that rabbit. That's it.
Excellent.
Dan,
Yeah, just a great time. Never before have people been able to invest in their investments like they have now. You can go out and get a coin, send out a tweet, find a friend. Can't do that in the stock market, really. So just a really exciting time. That's how this team is formed, is because people want to make quality, but also make quality for themselves. So everyone is really in it together. It's really become a huge snowball, and it's just getting bigger every single day. More emails, more connections, more people, more excitement. So yeah, just exciting times.
And speaking about our very special community, I just want to drop in real quick. Me and Dan, we have been in very, very many Slack communities because that's how crypto people communicate. And I personally joined many Slack communities, but when you actually get down to it, this is the only unique community I've ever been in with so much positive energy and so much people and their activity. People are moving their whole life in this one community we have. It's a full-time job just reading every message that has been posted in our community, because there's so much passion behind it, and you don't see anything else. You don't see this anywhere else in the world. And especially having our own dedicated exclusive show just for No Limit Coin, it just keeps getting better and better.
Yep.
Can I jump in and say something real quick? Again, I know I'm the new kid or old kid on the block, but thanks, guys. One thing that I've already brought the No Limit Coin to and No Limit organization to is one of my partners that I'm have a really strong presence in is equities.com. And they've really helped me with a lot of companies. They get 300,000-400,000 visitors a month to their site. And they're all about emerging growth. Just was speaking at a big conference for them yesterday up in Los Angeles. And, one of my big themes, of course, is the new ecosystem, which is digital currency and how to position, how to play it, and why it's getting so much coverage. And they are very interested. One of the principals there, Ashley Dunn, is actually very active in fantasy sports. She's a woman. She loves
everything
to take
became fantasy. Right. I keep telling them. Yeah.
Anyway, so she can't wait to get in here, and she actually is helping me get Raphael and No Limit Coin into this very prestigious 3-day money conference with 40,000 investors in Las Vegas. And, it's a very sought after affair and ticket and all that stuff. So I know we'll get good exposure. But my point is we're going to get some great exposure about events that No Limit is putting on or participating in, or some of the videos and context that both you and Nikolai and Dan and certainly the prestigious videographer or in England is putting forward. These guys can really bring the real money guys and lots of companies that are going to want to participate very quickly in what is going on here because of the amount of e-commerce, the amount of retail. just where fantasy sports and cryptocurrency are going, and certainly they want to be tied in with an early adapter. First to market is always a huge plus, but also somebody who's gone through the white paper and done the things the right way, the way that Raphael and this company have. So we've got some major shots to fire from the old guys, so to speak, that also are adapting to the new digital world, because certainly they have equities TV. They do lots of stuff right on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. They are one of the few companies where I can get on the New York Stock Exchange with companies and different new things and get live interviews done and NASDAQ and all that. So I'm just going to throw that out there because I know some of the people are already participating, some of the principals, because they're fantasy sports players already. And certainly they believe in the cryptocurrency companies that I bring them and stand behind, so to speak. So just kind of throw that in there as another avenue that I think is going to prove to be very fruitful for the No Limit organization.
I'm very excited about, you, Will, and Raphael being at the Money 2020, which is known as the world's largest payment and financial innovation event. It's going to be huge.
Huge. And, I told our investor that's been, really increasing the amount of support like many times. So he's in for a lot recently. So I feel really good about that. That's probably what, has really it's like you've got your money there, and it's basically covered us as far as the eye can see. So I said, Mr. Fortes, I want to go to the show. It's 50 grand. So we're like, 50 grand to put a 10 by 10 thing. It's outrageous. Like, no. I mean, Vegas was like 8. This thing, because every single person that's walking that hall paid $3,000 to get in there. I mean, it's not going to be, and Will goes, you know what? No, you're not going to spend $50,000. I'm taking you. So I appreciate that.
Very nice.
And the story he tells is true. We were sitting at the equities, and I just showed the screens for equities. We were sitting at the equities, and I said, hey, does anybody play fantasy? And, one of the girls got up and says, me. And we're like, yeah, man. So we got to get, that side of the house involved because they're very passionate. So anyway, I don't want to,
when you meet Ashley Dunn, she's going to be a very good spokesperson for No Limit Coin. She's head of all events. Equities is in New York and Toronto. They have offices all over. They're very prestigious. They've been in business for over 50 years, with the old publications, and now they're in the big new digital world like we all are. And they have an excellent reputation, name. They're picked up by a lot of people. But when you meet Ashley, she's head of their whole event coordinating. So she's young like you guys, but she's got a very powerful position, and she's big in fantasy sports. She loves to take on all the guys or comers and make them eat dirt, so to speak. And
she talks smack.
She knows her stuff, and
we might get her on the show. We might get her on that show we want to do.
You would love it. You'd love it.
Showing their publication, and I'm sure I searched Bitcoin, and then all this came up. So.
Let me tell you something about click-through rates. We just talked about it at an internal meeting with the board of equities that I was in on yesterday for cryptocurrency, but they won't take just any company. You just can't write a check, especially in an emerging market space. They're very careful about who they take on. But when they do take on a company in cryptocurrency, it's 15 cents per click that they pay. Anytime else, it's going to be anywhere. Any other company or sector, it's 75 cents to $1, $1.25, $1.30 that they pay. That's how much coverage they can get on any digital currency or pipeline ecosystem here for what's going on. And I think this is going to be a very potent partnership at some point for No Limit organization, as well as the people that are invested in it.
It is a pleasure.
Very nice.
Hey, it's on its own. It's there. So thanks a lot for getting this time. I know Dan is super under the demand all the time. Everybody wants to talk to him. I know Nicholas is also being extremely outreaching in terms of the crypto world, and I'm really proud that we're a group that encompasses crypto, and everybody's learning so much. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the time, and we'll do this again. Probably next week, and then we'll have the actual live platform running. Boom. That's the most important thing.
Excellent. Hey, thanks. It was very nice to meet you, Will. And as a pleasure as always, Rafael. I'll let Nicholas take us up.
Will Walker, thank you so much for joining us, as well as you, Rafael. This has been exclusively on Dan's channel, and thank you everyone for coming. It's been amazing. Bye, guys.
Yes.